Going on, everybody? We're here, so everybody, don't freak out. We're all here. What's going on? Welcome to this show. If you haven't been here before, what we do is we bring people who are reps, even managers sometimes, and they do a mock cold call with us, and then we review it. Dave typically is on this show, but he is in a he's running around right now. But we're gonna get him in this call at some point. But no worry to fret. We have Charlotte here. I'm super excited to be with her. It's been a long time. I know the last time we did something was like 2 years ago. It's been way too long, basically.
It has been too long.
So we're back together. And before we go into that, I would love to know, where is everybody tuning in from across the board? We always like to see that. And then if you've been on the show before, would love to hear that you've been here. If it's your first time, let us know in the chat. And again, like we said, we're going to dive right into it. We already have someone who's raised their hand and ready to go. What we do is they're going to come in with their cold calling framework. They're going to come in how they go about it. I will be the prospect, and we'll see. Just see if I'm in a nice mood or me mood. We'll see. You figure out how prospect I'm going to be today. And then they're going to break down what the buyer personas are, etc. As we go through that, what's incredibly important is if you have any questions that you want to ask, put it in the Q&A. It can easily be lost in the chat. That allows us to upvote what the questions we want to ask, and we'll be answering questions after the caller that comes in, after they're done. So if you got questions, throw it in the chat. Throw it in the Q&A, and feel free to chat amongst yourself as you are here as well. We got a lot of people coming in. Paris, we got a lot of people here. So we got Paris in the house. We got London in the house. Obviously, got Denver. Shout out to the Nuggets. We got Austin, Texas, Nashville, Edinburgh, Hamburg. we got everybody. This is worldwide. Greece. We got everybody here. Montreal. All right, y'all. So let's dive into it. Let's get into it. So what we're gonna do is the first person we're gonna bring in is Leslie. This is Leslie comes on here. Leslie, can you hear us? Maybe not.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So
I raised my hand because I couldn't get in, but I'm in obviously now. So I'm all good. Thank you.
All right, awesome. So so are you ready for the cold call breakdown? Let us know what your buyer persona is, and then who you typically like, how many times you've made cold calls, like years, and then we'll go into it.
Oh, you're talking to me?
Oh yeah. Oh, did you mean just to raise your hand just to get into the
webinar? Yeah. I'm sorry. Oh,
all good. I
can answer that though. I was in broadcasting for, let's say, 30 years. Now I work for Core Assist, so I sell virtual assistants in the Philippines. What was the questions again?
No, it's all good. We could put you back in the audience if you weren't covered for the cold call. If you were just trying to get on the webinar, completely cool.
Yeah. Okay. However you want to do this.
All right. So what we're gonna do is, y'all, if you all have any cold calling frameworks that you want to go into here, feel free to raise your hand so we can do a mock cold call. Obviously, we can dive into it as well. Oh my gosh, y'all, this person that's waiting in the, oh my goodness, oh my gosh, look who it is. Oh my gosh. All right.
Yeah, you guys had to know that I was coming in hot.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I don't even, you already know what to do here. The fact that we have James, this is wild. All right. So I'll be the prospect. And I obviously know the background of what you sell, but for the audience, buyer persona, what you're selling, how long you've been cold calling, and then we'll dive into it.
I have been a cold caller for 8 years. Gosh, it's probably my default. I think I go to cold calling more than any other channel. If I have a phone number, I'll pick it up and dial. And my job is just to land another meeting where I can talk for a longer amount of time. I've always looked at it that way, so that's my focus. I host a show with Sell Better, and what we do is we bring guests like Morgan and Charlotte, who have both been on the show. And Morgan and I used to host it together sometimes, and that was a blast. So I'm really excited. I love this platform. Let's rock it.
I have a question, if it's okay. Have you always been so comfortable cold calling, or were you ever kind of scared of cold calling to start with?
So I was a door knocker first. And if you've ever been a door knocker in residential or done B2B sales in person, walking around in cities, going into businesses that don't expect to meet with you today and then earning respect from them, That is much more challenging than cold calling.
Yeah.
So if you've done door-to-door, residential or B2B, cold calling is like a nice break.
Fair play. So, James, who am I? Am I a VP of sales?
Yeah,
CRO?
so we sell right now to a mixture of marketers and sales VPs, CROs, sales enablement leaders. And that's because with the show, we have this whole sponsorship thing going on. And then with John and the trainer situation, he's going directly to VPs, CROs, and sales enablement leaders. So you can be a marketer or a sales leader if you like.
I'll be a marketer.
Yes.
I'll be a marketer.
I knew you were going to choose that because of your content game, brother.
yeah, I'll be a marketer. All right, so start whenever you're ready.
All right, yeah. So what's going on, Morgan?
Hello?
Yeah, Morgan. This is Morgan, right?
Yeah. What's going on?
Morgan, what's up? I've been following you on LinkedIn. I'm loving all your content, man. How you doing today?
I'm okay. Like, what's this for? I'm running into a meeting. What's happening?
Yep, totally fine. I'll be brief. What I'm looking for is to set up some time so you and I can talk about the content you're creating and the people you're trying to impact.
Okay.
Okay, great. So that's all I want to talk about for the first part of the conversation. When it works for you.
Yeah, James, I'm pretty stacked right now. Like, Tim might be a good person to reach out to. I can give you his email address, but yeah, Tim's just too slammed right now. What is it called for again?
It's not for right now. What I'd like to do is put it on the calendar. Surely you're in front of your calendar, yeah?
No, I'm on the move right now. I'm mobile.
Got it. Okay, cool. Here's what I would suggest. If you have 10 seconds, I can tell you a little bit why I decided to call you today. And then from there, we can decide if this is something you want to move forward on.
Yeah, I'm timing. Only 10 seconds here.
10 seconds. Great. You're trying to impact people with your content, and we have a great reach right now, and we've got a consistent show. And I think it would be awesome if we worked together so that you can benefit from our reach and we could benefit from yours. This is like a mutual win.
Define good reach.
Good reach. So together, I think we're probably hovering around 1.5, possibly 2 million sales followers. And I'm pretty sure based on the content I've seen from you that you target salespeople trying to build a brand, trying to create content, and marketers. So we're trying to see those marketers come to the show as well. And I think we could do a lot of great stuff together. So what do you think about a deeper conversation? I know you're covered up, and I promised you I'd be brief. You gave me 10 more seconds. I appreciate that. Next week, you probably have some openers, and I know you've got your phone in your pocket. You want to whip it out and let me know when you got a second?
Well, I'm on my phone right now, so it's not in my pocket. It's on my ear.
I thought it was on speaker. You're probably looking at it though.
No. I don't do AirPods. I just normal. That's what we do around here. So
just a normal dude.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm a visual person, so if you just want to send send an email with some information, I'll review it, and then I'll loop back with you.
I get this response a lot, and I'm happy to send an email, but that's actually why I cold call instead of email, because if I send you an email, dude, you have 100 plus 50,000, 180,000 followers. Like, it's going to get buried, and I'm probably going to chase you forever. And I'm going to imagine that because this has been a great call so far and I've earned your time, you're going to save my number. And if you do that and I start calling you again, you're going to decline me. So we can have this conversation right now, or we could set something on the calendar. I don't want to keep you. You said you're limited on time and you're covered up right now. And so far, we've gone way over the 10 seconds that you gave me. So I'm pretty sure that you could just take that phone away from your face for just a moment and see a gap. And that's all I need. 30 minutes, you and me having a real human conversation about how we can help each other.
If you can send me a calendar invite for, 2 Tuesdays from now at 3 p.m. Eastern, that'll work for me.
2 Tuesdays, 3 p.m. I am firing it off. Do you have it? Can you see it? Might need to refresh.
I do see it. I accepted it.
Boom. All right. If you accept it, we're good to go, man. I'll let you go get back to your day. If you need anything, save my number in your phone. Can I save yours? Is this your direct number?
This is, yes.
I'm going to save it. Is that cool? Can we text each other? It might be easier for you.
If you feel inclined to do so, I may not reply, but if you feel so inclined,
I won't expect a reply, but at least we can go back and forth from time to time. And it's been great talking to you. I really appreciate the time. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Thanks, James.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right, cool. Well, let's give James a round of applause here. It's nice. I did not know James was going to pull up here. So I was like, oh, hey, what's up? So everybody in the chat, please give your feedback, whether it's positive feedback, constructive criticism. That's what we do here. So feel free to do that. And then again, if you want to come on the video, let us know. I see we have someone coming in. We're going to answer questions. But before we do that, Charlotte, you were intently listening in. Feedback for James, and then everyone else, obviously, you can provide your feedback as well in the comments.
I think with cold calls, like people put on this different persona usually, and they'll be like really salesy and they won't sound like themselves. Someone put in the chat that they could never be that cheeky, and that's fine. I could never be that cheeky either. It's just not my personality and it would come across false. But what's good about James is that he is completely authentic. I reckon if you met James in the pub, he would be exactly like that. He's very comfortable with himself. And that comes across on the phone, which is why he was able to keep Morgan on the phone for a bit longer. My one like constructive criticism or feedback would be like it was focused a lot around like, oh, this is what we have and this is what we can do for each other, rather than like the challenges and the time we spend on posting every single day, it eating into hours of my day and my week posting. And sometimes those posts just don't land the way I want them. So imagine if you could have that partner, which is going to expand that reach as well. And I think like something that's going to hit on to a nerve for Morgan, thinking, oh crap, like that is so annoying when I spend hours crafting the perfect post or planning for the week and it just doesn't land. I think like I needed like a challenge or something that's going to affect Morgan personally, rather than just this is the outcome we can get.
More on the value prop then.
Anything else, Charlotte?
Love the objection handling as well.
Yeah,
like personality. Like I just like it when people call people out as well. It doesn't always work. I reckon if you did that to someone maybe in the UK, maybe it would land as well.
Yeah.
And I think you do need to kind of change your tone a little bit, because if someone said that to me, I would probably be like, sorry, I have my sorry, who are you? And I might get a little bit sassy, but I feel like it depends on like the person and the geography you're calling into, but kind of matching their tone a bit as well.
Yeah, it didn't help that Morgan and I have been friends for a very long time, so my comfort level is like super high.
yeah. I try to be as realistic as a prospect as possible, to specify our friendship. So yeah, my comments are the same, very similar to Charlotte's. I'll say first and foremost, and a lot of people in the chat are putting this, when you're listening to someone do a cold call, like yes, there's styles, but there's also frameworks. So if you look at the framework of how James handled the objections, like that's what I would pay attention to. There also as well, James is a massive outlier. There's things that he says that no one else would be able to get away with, like just transparently, like that's just him.
I say jacked up stuff, y'all.
but the framework on how he handled the objection every single time he had one, and that's what you all need to think about is like, okay, I have this objection, how do I handle it? Every single time that I was like, yeah, I don't know, like he always had something to like be pleasantly persistent. He wasn't annoying. Now, to some people it could be, but for me, it was like, oh, that's pleasantly persistent, right? It wasn't annoying to me. So I was like, all right, like let's continue on, right? This is fine. So that was a big piece. I think energy is a big piece, right? There never was a drop off in energy. When I had to throw an objection, most people, they have a drop off in energy. They get concerned, they get rattled, they sound confused. Prospect's not going to be confident. You have to pay attention to that. My only thing is to really amplify what Charlotte said. I would actually just, in your intro, I would just lead with that. Lead with the challenge. Lead would be like, hey, look, reason for my calls, I've been talking to CMOs and they have a massive headache of creating content. Like, is that something that you're currently dealing with? That way, right, you're immediately getting to that. And then now we're in the conversation, which is what you personally do best at, is just getting in the conversation. Yeah. So if I can address a pain point in the beginning and it lands, then I can do that. And then for people in their head, you're probably thinking, well, what if I address one pain point and then it's not their pain point? That's fine. You can do a layered approach and say, hey, typically that's like the main one people deal with, but here's 3 other things that people deal with. Is that in your lane, right? And then you can expand. So there's ways you can move with it, but that would be my feedback for you.
That's great. Yeah. Hey, I appreciate the opportunity to come in and be a part of the show. Thank you very much for your kindness, y'all.
Appreciate you, James.
One other thing that would be good as well is when you're doing that introduction, like, and mentioning the pain points, but you mentioned like you've been following Morgan's content, but like point out something like, I am reading the post you did this morning on this topic right now. And a lot of marketers we're speaking to are struggling with content creation right now. And it sounds like you're doing a good job, but wondering if you just had 30 seconds to chat about this.
That's great. I appreciate that. And I did not mention recent content. Probably would have been a good ad.
Good stuff. All right,
thanks, guys.
James.
I appreciate it. I look forward to the next caller. Let's go.
Yeah. Appreciate you, James. All right, so we're going to answer some questions while we wait for the next caller. So next caller, we're going to get to you, but we're going to get some questions here. So question is, what is your short and best effective pattern disruptor opener to avoid rejections? All right, so Charlotte, they're looking for the magic formula. So you have it, right?
Yeah, no, actually, do you know what? My opening and I think this is really overthought. I add research in to show that I'm not just saying something generic at the beginning of my call, but how I speak to someone on the phone and how I cold call is exactly how I call my mum, apart from I just say my name. So I'll be like, hey, Charlie from Sales Loft, I'm reading the SDR role you're hiring for in your careers page right now, and I'm just wondering if you have 30 seconds. So I'm not really doing like a pattern disruptor opener or anything like that. I'm just being myself and authentic. And I personally, do you have 30 seconds or for a cold call, or do you want to hang up? Like, this isn't my personality. So I'm not going to force it and push it. Otherwise it's just not going to sound like me. So personally, the method that works best for me is to just be myself and just to share a little bit of research, get them a bit curious, to have a further conversation really, and then share those challenges up front. And at the end of the day, if they don't want to speak to me, that's fine. I can try them another time. And there's also other channels I can try and reach them by as well. So rejection doesn't mean rejection forever. It might just be you caught them at a bad time and you can just try again tomorrow or later in the week.
So comment on what you said so that everyone heard that point, because some people might miss that last point you said, and then a question for you. So the comment is that I'm going to tell y'all right now, and some people in the comment, if you agree with me, let me know. And I saw this when I was in SDR. You could literally call someone this week and they're like, oh, not interested, and hang up on you. You could call them the next week and you'll have a different pitch and they're like, wow, this is the most amazing thing I've ever heard of. I'm telling you right now, like, this has happened to me before, because people don't remember you at all. They're going to forget you within 3 seconds of the call. So yeah, if you ever want to double dap bound on somebody and they'll be like, hey, I want to call you back after they hung up on you in the intro or whatever it is, like, you could literally call them next week and they will not remember at all. But don't come with the same intro. That's important. Like, make sure that you notate like new intro. If you come with the same one and then they get mad at you, well, yeah, that's your fault. You need to change it up a little bit. So I want to comment on that for everybody in here. And then also as well, Charlotte, you said that you do research for each person. And if you're doing that, like, I already know what the questions are. How do you scale that? Like, I already hear it in people's heads. So like, how do you answer that?
So before I add someone into my cadence, I have done research on that person. And depending on the tier, it depends on how much research I do. So I add a note before I do any email, LinkedIn, or cold calling tasks, and it's at the top of my page. So whether I'm on step 2 and I'm doing a cold call, or I'm on step 20 and I'm doing a LinkedIn invite or a LinkedIn message, I know what to personalize with because I've done my research and I do it at the beginning and I only do it once. If it's a really hot tier 1 account, I might have a little quick look to see if there's any updates. But typically, especially for cold calling, I will just use the information that I've already done in the notes. It's just an approach that has always worked for me. I've tried both. I used to have a KPI at my first company of like $150 a day, which I couldn't do. And it used to be a generic pitch. And I just didn't feel comfortable doing it. I felt spammy and salesy, and it just didn't work for me. And the approach that has always worked, made me personally feel more comfortable doing it, is having a little bit of research, even if that is just the fact that I can see they're hiring, or their team has grown into a new geography, or they've just hired a new senior leadership role. It just gives me more confidence around how to shape my challenges, and the fact that I've earned their time and I actually deserve to have this time on the phone with them, rather than if I had no information, I wouldn't feel as confident.
Love that. And this is a follow-up question, and then we're going to get to the video here and bring up the next person, because this is like amplifying what you're just saying. So for you, do you not change tone and pattern of speech depending on the sector?
No, I'm speaking to a human from, like, whether they're from industry A or industry B, I'm speaking to a human at the end of the day. And I think it's important to be yourself, to be comfortable and confident. So whether I am speaking to, I don't know, a sales leader, a marketing leader, my mum, my sister, whoever it is, I just want to be myself and be authentic in myself. If it's more like finance or creative agency, maybe you just focus on different research points, but my tone is me. And if someone doesn't like it, then that's fine. But it's me.
I'll give this one caveat, and this is just through my training in APAC and LATAM, etc. I talk pretty fast, and so I've actually noticed that in some areas I have to slow down my pace just a little bit so that people can actually understand what I'm talking about. So I would say in some scenarios, you just be mindful of like who you're calling, because English might be their third or fourth language, right? So, or whatever language that you're talking to, and just in my scenario. So I actually slowed down in some scenarios so that people could still understand what I'm saying. The energy is still the same, but I slow down pace. That's just something to be mindful of. But to your point, right? You're not like being like a voice changer, right? On each call, it's like, all right, I'm calling Bob today, and I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm always mindful of regions. If I'm calling APAC, I might have to slow down, right, and things of that nature.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, be yourself. Like, I think people put this huge like weight over cold calling, and I used to as well. I used to honestly be petrified of the phone. But ever since I kind of didn't see it as I need to book a meeting from this step, and I detached from that and saw it more as I'm just having a chat with someone and I'm being myself. Ever since I switched to that mindset, I've become way more confident and don't find it to be this really daunting task anymore. So I think like be yourself, and naturally your confidence will come through with that.
Love that advice. So let's bring in the next person, Ned. Ned, what's going on?
Hey, good. How are you guys?
Doing good. All right, so talk to us. You saw what James did, buyer persona, how long you've been calling, and then anything else I need to know as the prospect.
Okay, sure. So look, this is actually my first week in sales, so I'm all very new to it. So I just thought I'd.
Congrats.
So like buying personas, I only really learned yesterday. I'm not sure if I'm the most convenient person to do this call, but I'm ready to put my best foot forward. So yeah.
I love. I mean, okay, so at least tell me one of the buyer personas so I can have a competency on this, and then also what are you selling? At least give me.
Okay, sure. So we're selling enterprise software solutions. A buying persona would be a VP of operations per se for a customer service center, right?
Okay.
Yep. So we're selling enterprise software specifically around customer service, so better tools to introduce efficiency and sort of a guided navigation to a customer service, so financial services, health centers, etc.
Okay, cool. So operations, bridging the gap on the customer service side, VP of ops. That's what I got.
That's above the line would be like a VP or a COO. Cool. Below the line would be a general sort of head of customer service.
Cool. Oh, so your weekend, are you even green lit to make cold calls yet, or this is like your legitimate first cold call right now?
This is my legitimate first cold call.
Hey, shout out to Ned, just jumped in. All right, look, I'm a fan. All right, so look, do they at least give you like a cold calling script at least, or
no? But
you're just hopping
honestly,
in. Okay.
When I hopped in, I thought I'd be like 10th in queue. I didn't think I'd be fast. But let's go. Yeah, let's give it a crack.
Okay, cool. All right, man. Call me.
Hello, Morgan.
This is me.
Yes. This is Ned calling from Upland Software. How are you going? How's your day?
It's all right. It's all right.
Okay. And do you have 30 seconds to talk right now? I'm calling from Upland Software Solutions. I understand that your business product aligns with Upland. Do you have 30 seconds to talk about that potentially?
Yeah, only 30 seconds though.
Okay, perfect. I promise if it's no longer than that and we don't show any interest, feel free to hang up the call. So essentially, what our product is offering is a guided navigation to effectively streamline your service and make it more efficient. Now, I can see here that you're a year into your VP of operations and you've just taken it offshore. And look, your headcount has increased. You're trying to increase efficiency. I can see that your tech stack does align with ours. So we can potentially find a mutual coordination here with our product services. Any chance you're free for an introductory call, say in a week's time or next week, Monday around afternoon?
Yeah, Ned, we already are using a tool internally that sounds like what you do, so it may not be a fit right now.
Okay, that's fair enough. Is there any chance that potentially someone below you, someone below you,
Nice.
sir, that we could potentially align a call with just to discuss the space? I understand you're a busy person, so time is of the essence there.
Yeah, Charlotte might be the best person to reach out to.
Charlotte, perfect. Do you have? Okay, fantastic. Charlotte, you're on the call as well here, right? I believe, Charlotte.
No,
I think I heard
me. There's no
her. I think I
Charlotte.
heard her
There's no
last before. Charlotte.
No, she's
I
just
don't
headed.
think Morgan
Charlotte,
takes
She
cold
just
calls.
headed.
How are you?
She just headed
listening in,
into.
like, hey.
She just headed
Okay.
into a meeting. I could let her know though.
That would be amazing. That would be Charlotte. How does Monday afternoon next week sound? It sounds like our product might align.
I'll let her know whatever information you want me to pull forward.
Oh, this is brilliant. Thank you so much. I think we're going to work together really well.
All right, sounds good, Ned. All right, I gotta give. Wait, hold on. This is no way it's your first cold call, man. There's no
Yeah, it
way.
is.
What? Okay, I'm just gonna be right.
That wasn't. Come on, it wasn't that good.
Yeah,
I was
but
stumbling.
come on,
I was
like
stumbling.
you're
Well,
on a webinar. Like I wouldn't even put my hand up on a webinar to do a cold call, and I've been cold calling for about 5-6 years, and I wouldn't have the balls to essentially do it. Like, so the fact that you can do this in front of us, like they're of it, like your tone, and you're obviously naturally comfortable with cold calling, which is great. But the fact that you can do it on a webinar, like,
Okay.
The reference to a cold call to Charlotte, that's yeah. Most people would never do that. They've been doing this for a while. I've analyzed 1 million calls, and most people.
All right, you teed it up for me quite nicely there, Morgan. So
most people wouldn't do that though. They would just be like, "Oh, I'll just send an email." You were just like, "Oh yeah, she's like conference call." Like,
I can
all
hear
right,
her laughing.
yeah, like what? Who's calling that out?
Oh, that's kind.
I love it. Well, the chat loves it too. So y'all, let's give him some feedback. I mean, first week in sales, not even gotten an actual cold call yet. I mean, I'm already fired up to see what you're gonna do. But Charlotte, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so I think at the and like bear in mind like the fact that this is first call on a webinar, like take it, like the fact that you did it is, and I could imagine if you're doing it to a prospect, it would be a bit different. But I felt like when you went in with the product pitch, you kind of went after about 3 or 4 different areas. I think focus on one. You've been a VP in operations for the past year, and I can see you're moving offshore, I think it was. And typically when people are doing this, they struggle with 1 or 2 areas, A or B, wondering which one of these is more relevant. So instead of pitching and being like, I'm looking for 30 minutes next week, see if it's even relevant, because at the end of the day, there's no point you wasting 30 minutes of your time if this isn't a good fit person. Like, respect your time as well. You don't want to speak to them if they have a competitor solution in place for the next 3 years, or if they're actually a bad fit for your persona or for your ICP. So find out if any of the challenges are relevant for them. Start with research and don't be as pushy for the call. And I think that's the issue with a lot of salespeople. When they start to panic, they're like, oh, but do you have just 15 minutes next week? Or what about 10 minutes next week? So go into it not expecting a meeting. Go into it thinking, I'm going to have a chat with this person. I want to see if there's a fit. If there is a fit, great. Let's set up a call. But if there's not a fit, that's fine also, because you're saving your time as well.
That's good advice. Thank you.
Great advice there. The thing that I would add on, and Stevie actually said it here, and I'm just going to pull it up so people can say it. This was going to be my main feedback. Anytime anyone says that we're using something internally, dive in and see like what's going on, right? Mm-hmm. And I always like to use the like and prove method. So I'll say like, hey, like what do you like about that vendor? Or hey, like what's the most impactful about the vendor? It's interesting. When I was doing a ton of trainings, I listened to a lot of calls, and when we would implement this, we would ask people, hey, what do you like about this? And they're like, I don't like it. Wait, what? So it's interesting. If you ask someone like, how could you, like, what is bad about it? Or like, what do you not like about it? People are like less prone to do that. But if you ask them what they like about it, it's always a positive, because either they're going to say like what they like about it, and so they're more excited. So psychologically, they're a little bit more open to talking to you because you're not like trying to call them out. But they also could be more open to saying like, I don't like this at all, right? Because maybe they got upset, right? That they wanted to choose a different product and service, which, I mean, y'all can attest to this. This happens. Maybe there was a champion who wanted to go a different direction, but then everyone else went another direction. So they actually don't like it. And so you calling them is timely, because now you can help them ally with them to then help them get their solution that they want in there. So I always ask what people like about it, because I can get more information regardless, right? And then I just ask, hey, how would you like to see that improved, right? And you can do that piece there. And then look, you did the you did the thing with Charlotte, but what I would say is always ask for the email and always confirm an email. So when I say, hey, go talk to someone else, as Charlotte was talking about, you have someone who's like you legitimately can talk to, always make sure you confirm the email. And then also make sure as well that you ask them, can you CC them on the email? You don't want to be like me when I was an SDR and I didn't do it one time and then they called me out. It was not good. All right. So you don't want to get called out for not asking that question. Hey, what's the email? Confirm, because it may be wrong. You just want to check. And then the next thing that you want to do is say, hey, real quick, like, can I add you on the CC here? That's another element as well.
Okay.
I think one thing that's good with objections as well is to acknowledge them. I don't think enough people will be like, oh, great, that you already have something in place. Like, I want to speak to the people who have an outreach in place. That's the most perfect scenario of person that I can speak to, because they're already dedicated into sales enablement and I don't have to educate. So it's actually the most perfect scenario. And I'll be like, that's amazing that you have outreach. Like, they're a pretty good tool, to be fair. I can't really say that much bad about them. And like Morgan says, oh, what do you really like about it? And then go from there. But I think like it kind of disrupts and kind of puts their guard down if you're like, oh, that's really great actually that you have something in place.
Thank you.
All right, Ned. I wish you best of luck, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see what you do now. I'm fired up.
I'm man.
All right, man. Have a good one. Appreciate you. All right, so we're gonna let in another person here in a minute, but we're gonna answer some questions here. So this one's an interesting question because it really does depend. But I'm curious how Charlotte's gonna answer this one. How many times would you call a prospect per week?
It's a good one. I'd comfortably call someone 3 times, I think.
Comfortably?
Yeah. I think, and on top of that, I'm also doing like email outreach. The thing is, if someone is clicking on my emails as an example, or they're engaging with me in some sort of way, I'm calling them every day. But if I don't have that kind of permission, then I probably won't do it every day. I'll probably do it like every other day without feeling bad and pushy personally. And I kind of try and take a step back and think, if I was a decision maker, like what would get too annoying for me? And for me, it's if someone was calling me every single day and emailing me every single day and sending me messages on LinkedIn every single day. I think you need to chill out a little bit. And use email, call, and LinkedIn, and maybe do like 2 emails a week, a couple of LinkedIn, and then maybe like 2-3 calls as well.
Mine's just similar. I don't want to go too deeply into it. Making sure that you see those trackers is key. Obviously you have something like a sales off, you're able to see that. And if someone's opening the email more than 2-3 times, yeah, I'm calling you. Like, yeah. What's good? And most of the time, people are looking there. Most of the time now, yeah, they're looking at their emails on their phone. They can be, in the house, going somewhere, commuting, whatever it may be, traveling. So if you're calling them as they're looking at it, they're more prone to pick up the phone. So this is definitely more of a depend. It depends, right? Mm-hmm. But don't be afraid to do that if you need to level that up. So let's go to another one. All right, so we've answered this question on the show a million times. So Charlotte, I'm gonna get your perspective on how do you get past the gatekeeper?
Do you know what? And this is just me, I have a really friendly approach with the gatekeeper, and I don't try and like trick people or anything like that. I will just get information from them. So for example, if they're like, and it's their job to not put you through, right? So if I'm like, oh, can I speak to Morgan? And the gatekeeper's like, no, he's not in office today. I'll be like, oh, when does he usually come into office? And I'm going to get some information. Okay. If I call back on Monday, is there a chance that I can speak to him? Or am I just going to get through to you and get blocked again? And try and just make it a bit more like humorous and nice. I've actually had the funniest scenario before where I was ringing this gatekeeper probably about 3 times a week for maybe 4 months, maybe, to the extent that I made friends with this person, and it was funny when I called. I was like, me again. I think I even sent them a voucher, and I was like, hey, and it would be like really funny. And eventually they booked the meeting on my behalf with the person I wanted to speak to. So it took time, but I think that's just my approach. But it's a good one because it is really difficult to like get through. So I'd be interested in your view as well. But yeah, I just try and find out a nugget of information, whether that's, oh, by the way, do you know what CRM that the team are using? Or, oh, are they actually always working at home, or do they sometimes come into the office as well? Just trying to get little nuggets of information and to help me qualify.
Yeah, my approach is similar. I basically look at it as in like, I'm gonna be humorous, nice to the gatekeeper as possible. I think it's hard to say be humorous because some people just maybe aren't funny, so that might not be the best strategy for you. But like, I make it as levity as possible, right? And I think everyone can at least attempt to do that. So the way that I look at gatekeepers is I do the strategy where like I call it like Lost in Disney World. So basically, like if you were lost in Disney World, what would you do? You would go find someone that works at the park and you say like, can you help me? And psychologically, people want to help, so they're more prone to get you to where you need to go, right? And so when I call the gatekeeper, at the beginning of the call, I say, can you help me? As if I'm just lost, right? I don't really know what's going on. And so essentially what happens from there, you'll notice that the tone and the energy of the call changes where they're going to be more prone to help you. They're like, oh yeah, how can I help? Like, what's going on? And then from there, that then allows me to say like, hey, yeah, I'm looking for so-and-so where it may be. Now, does that happen every single time that they let me through? Like, no, but I have found personally by doing that, it was more helpful for me. And then, we can handle the objections as we get there. But I found that just allowed people to be a little bit different conversation. And I look at pattern interrupts accordingly. So it's like, yeah, it's a pattern interrupt. People typically don't do that. And that's helpful too.
Nice.
All right. So let's get in another person. If you got any questions, keep throwing them in the Q&A. We're going to try to get as much as we can.
Oh, shit.
All right. Let's see. Mark, what's going on?
Yeah, not too bad, Morgan. How you doing? Hey, Charlotte.
Hey.
Oh, I like the shout out to the Boba Fett, man.
Cheers. Big Lego
collector. There we go. All right. You know the drill. Buyer personas. What are you selling? How long have you been calling? I'll be the prospect, and we'll get into it.
Oh, I've been cold calling in SaaS for about 2 years now. A little bit nervous first time on a webinar. Shout out to Ned, who managed to do it in his first week.
I know.
Hero.
He was just so cool. I'm sat here shaking. Like, this is absolutely right. We're recently hiring some new SDRs, so I thought I'd come on and show hopefully what good looks like to the team. Shout out to them who are sat probably laughing in nooks right now, but here we go. Here we are. We sell to like recruitment leaders at the moment we are a sales motivation and engagement tool.
So I'm assuming I'm going to be a VP sales, CRO.
Sales director would be nice.
Cool. And then say it again. What type of tool?
So we're sales motivation made simple. So analytics, gamification, incentives, all that lovely stuff.
Cool. All right. I'm good whenever you are.
Awesome. Hey, Morgan, it's Mark over at OneUp. Is it the worst thing in the world if I told you this was a sales call?
It might be. Depends on how this goes.
Well, I better make it brief then. So typically, Morgan, we work with recruitment agencies who look pretty similar to yourselves, and while successful, are struggling with one or two key things. The first is a lack of visibility of their data with reporting that can feel really clunky, manual, and time-consuming in the CRM, making it hard to make data-driven decisions or even just keep their team accountable. The next is they're tasked with hitting these really ambitious growth goals in a tough market at the moment, with capable consultants just not really hitting their full potential or just being as motivated as they should be. So they're looking to drive a high-performance culture in a positive way without feeling like Big Brother watching over their shoulders. But I've got a feeling you're going to tell me that none of this applies to you right now.
It's a wrong feeling. Number two, I feel like a lot of people are feeling that right now.
So when you say you feel like it a little bit right now, what is it? Is it the fact they're not reaching their full potential, or you're trying to motivate them more?
Motivation. Market's really hard right now. Team has ups and downs, and just trying to keep that momentum as much as possible.
Okay, so you're trying to keep up the momentum as much as possible. What are you doing currently to do this?
We have enablement sessions, and we'll have them run by peers. So we try to keep people motivated by giving them a chance to speak to the team. We also have SPIS as well that we do monthly, quarterly, depending on what they're looking to do. So we might send people to events, or maybe they get a chance to meet with the founders or whatever it may be. So those are things that we're working on right now, continuously iterating and trying new things as well.
Okay. It doesn't really sound like it's an issue for you, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
Sounds
I
like
mean,
you're handling it right now.
yeah, it's an up down thing, right? I think getting people continuously motivated is always going to be hard, and the environment makes it difficult. So if I had to pinpoint that, I'd say, yeah, it is. But yeah, we're continuously just working on it.
Nice. So let's assume that right now that you are trying to hit those ambitious growth goals by motivating your team. What kind of happens if they don't hit those targets that are set?
Well, I'm in trouble.
Well, no one wants that, Morgan, do they really? Let's be honest.
No.
So now, hypothetically, if there was a way to help you in the environment you're in right now, to help your team stay motivated to hit their full potential, and I'm not saying we can actually fix this for you because, hey, this is the first time we've spoken. I'm not too sure what's going on in your business. But is there any reason you wouldn't spend 30 minutes with me just to find out if this is something that could help? And if not, we can shake hands and go separate ways. Does that sound fair?
It's fair. Right now, we've had enablement talking about what they would like to do. So I don't like to step on their toes because they're building some things on how to increase the motivation for the team. So it might be best to either email them or I can loop you in that direction.
Well, first of all, what I like to suggest in these sort of situations is the fact that I'd love to get an intro to your enablement team. I can run a bit of discovery with them, and then I can showcase back to you what I've found and where I think we can help. So then when we do get the chance to demo, it's more than me just showing you how we could potentially help you, but also what you're facing at the ground level in the enablement and where we can support.
Okay.
Wicked. Have you got your calendar to hand at all?
Yeah, I'm open next week.
Okay. So what I'd recommend is if you could loop me in with the sales enablement team to meet for this week so I can do my research and best prepare for our call, say Wednesday at 11.
What time zone?
Oh gosh, I'm in GMT Britain right now. So I'm hoping this lands better.
East Coast. It's hard to, I don't know, what's the conversion on that? East Coast, GMT?
Let's go 11 a.m. your time, and I'll just make sure I take enough caffeine to make the meeting if needs be.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Awesome. Just one thing before I go. Other than like a natural disaster, is there any reason why you wouldn't turn up to this meeting?
No. I mean, sometimes it snows here in Atlanta and the whole city shuts down, so that could happen. But other than that, I think we're fine.
Awesome. I'll subscribe to the local weather station, and I'll see you at 11 a.m. your time on Wednesday.
Sounds good, Mark.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, cool. All right, also, we'll give a round of applause. Yeah, he's like, do y'all believe him that he was shaking before this? Like, I have a lot of comments on this one. Chat, let us know how you're feeling. Let us know what you thought as well. But Charlotte, we'll let you go first, and then I'll go.
Yeah, I think you got comfortable towards the end. You started to see your personality. So I'm not going to take points off for that because it is nerve-wracking, like doing this in front of an entire webinar. I also, and especially towards the end, like I liked it how you weren't that pushy. You were like, look, this is the first time I've spoken to you. Like, I don't even know if this is a fit yet. And the other thing I really liked is, and people don't do this enough, is once you've got two things actually. Firstly, once you've got the meeting and you've secured the time, like you can ask more questions, whether that's qualification questions or just before you go, what CRM are you using or blah, blah, blah. Or you mentioned this, can you just tell me the tech stack associated with it? Or like you said, is there any reason why you're not going to show up? Like once you've secured that meeting, like don't be afraid to ask more questions for qualifying. And the other thing that was good is that sometimes cold calls will drag on for too long and they'll keep talking and keep talking and keep talking. And when they've had enough information to maybe grab enough attention to book in that call, and they'll drag it on for so long that Morgan, as the prospect, would have an excuse to kind of qualify himself out essentially. So you wrapped it up as soon as you found like something and a challenge from the enablement team. You wrapped it up pretty quickly instead of dragging it on. A few things I would give constructive criticism is in your opener, you said we work with similar companies to yourself. I feel like this is a really overused kind of sales intro. Like, we work with similar titles to yourself. We work with similar, and it's just, they don't know that you're calling just them. So it makes it a bit less kind of, I don't know, like if someone called me and said, I'm reading your post right now and it talks about this, and I also watched this webinar about this, this, and this, and these are typically the two challenges, I would speak to that person because they've done their homework. Whereas if someone's like, we're speaking to similar people who are posting like you, I'd be like, have you even read my stuff?
Okay, that makes sense. I'd be more relevant with my openness to really show that I've done my research from the start and front load it.
Yeah, I think so. And then secondly, like with the two challenges, I think maybe you need to condense them a little bit, and also maybe have a look at some of the language. I don't know if you can listen to some inbound calls or things like that, or even ask some of the sales directors in your company or even externally, because when we say things like data-driven decisions, it's very like, and I do it all the time, it's very us language, and it's not the prospect's language, so it can come across as quite jargony. That's me being harsh. Like, that's me being harsh. It was good. So.
Yeah, I probably should have qualified it a little bit better with the tech stack, but I didn't want to go, hey, because we only work with limited systems, but hey, Morgan, what CRM are you using? And then, well, you probably would have said Salesforce, which we do work with in retrospect because we're not actually a CRM. But yeah, I would make sure I'll do that next time. And I've got a feeling my VP of sales is going to have a lovely word of me for not asking the tech stack on a live webinar too.
No, you're on a webinar and it's nerve-wracking. So you know what, like, I couldn't do it. I don't mind hosting a webinar, but I couldn't do a cold call on a webinar. I'd be scared.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's different. It's different.
I'd be
okay.
Like,
oh, hey, I actually am not going to do the cold call now. So
yeah, I picked a bad day to work. Great, let's put it that way.
All right, there's things that I absolutely loved that I'm hoping y'all picked up. So, and Mark did this. I think obviously did this consciously. He made me feel like I needed to know more, even though I didn't. So he'd be like, "Yeah, like I don't really know. That might not really be an issue." And then I'm like, "Well, yeah, here's some things going on." So he did a really good job of like pulling me in by not being that pushy and just being like, "Yeah, okay, like sounds like you're good, right?" And when you have that type of tone, people are going to lean in because it's the opposite of what they typically get, right? Most people are like, "Oh, we're the leading provider. We're the greatest ever. Like, why would you not?" Versus like, "Oh, yeah, sounds like you're good," right? And so it makes me either say like, "Yeah, I am," or like, "Yeah, I am," but like, here's some things that are actually going on, right? So I like the way that you did that. I think the close was excellent. I like that last question that you asked. Most people don't ask that question, and it's going to secure that meeting. If you're right now on this call and your hold rate for your meetings is low, I'd be using that question. I thought that was an excellent question. And then pace and tone and confidence was there too, which is the cornerstone of successful calls, and you did that extremely well. So
wouldn't say confidence, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, but as you sounded confident, even though if you didn't feel that way, you did, right? But it kind of leads into like my main constructive criticism, my feedback here. Charlotte already talked about it, and most people, because you're calling sales directors, we obviously were doing this for the audience and to get something out of it. Most sales directors would have hung up, probably like third, like you went on for like maybe like 50 seconds, like as I was like kind of timing in my head. Optimally, you want to be between 20 to 30. If you go over 30, people check out immediately. Like anyone in here in the chat can contest to that. Like I've done millions of these trainings, and we like timed it, and we would find that most people, when it goes over 30 seconds, like they zone out. They have no idea what you're saying anymore. So you got to get to that 20, 30 seconds. I like to call it the short pitch, right? Yeah. So then you can afford the longer pitch, where then you can go into case studies, details, all that stuff. Nice. You're more in the conversation. But if you just say, "Hey, we do this, we have similar companies, we do this," what, bro? Like I don't know you. So the thing is, like, that's not going to work as well. But you can save it for later, right? And that's the key. You got to be less than that 30 seconds. But that's like actually my main feedback, because once again, to Charlotte's point, once you got on the call, you were like boom, boom, boom. You were doing push and pull. You were doing certain psychological triggers. Like you had framing. Like you did all the stuff you were supposed to do. I just think at the beginning, pick one or two, A/B test those, figure out what works, and then just make it more concise, and you're good.
Awesome, wicked. I'll take that feedback back to the team. Thank you very much. really grateful for the opportunity today, and roll on the next caller. Cheers.
Yeah.
The dream of selling to sales people as well is that you can kind of like call out some of their reps' names like during those challenges, like reps like Charlie Johnson just being horrific at updating the CRM, and it's going to make them laugh and it's going to make them listen more because you're making it relatable to their scenario as well. So this is, and with marketing, like people in your team, I bet like Jane is spending like hours of her time like after an event going through an Excel spreadsheet, and it's just making it more relatable for them.
100%. Relatability is key, and the more you can do that, the better. Even what you said about like the snippets from calls, like listening to that and getting the language, that's going to be critical as well. Y'all, we have about 8 minutes left, so right now we're just literally just going to go through it and answer these text questions. If you didn't get on video, we'll try to get you on next time. You can email Tim. I think Tim's probably in the chat. He'll let you know what you can do from there. But before we do wrap up, we just got to get a pulse check. Has this been helpful for everybody and impactful so far? Like, let's get a check. You know, we got to make sure that this has been helpful for y'all. So if it was, let us know in the chat. We always want to make sure that we're delivering the right information for y'all. But it looks like from what I'm seeing here, everyone is feeling good. So that's good. Shout out to Chelsea having the page of notes. Ton of things here. So we're going to go into some quick fire questions here that we're going to answer as well. Okay, so this is interesting. And I actually don't think there's a difference here, but people see it. What about the C-suite positions that you call out on cold call when they say, oh, cold call, sorry, don't have the time, click. What is the correct course of action here? So essentially, if they say it's a cold call and they just hang up on you, what's the best course of action after?
I think like you mentioned before, like you can catch people at a really bad day. Like I've caught a CEO at the worst time ever before and I've been hung up on, but I've also caught a CEO on their birthday before and they were chatting to me for ages. So I think like you can't always catch someone at a good time. So continue your process. Okay, you get hung up on, just keep sending those emails, keep sending those LinkedIn messages, keep sending those calls as well. Like just because you've got someone at a bad time and they've hung up, don't take it personally. Like they could be having the worst day of their life. And your call is just completely, or maybe they're waiting for a call for someone and they just don't have the time to speak to you. Like, don't take it personally and just continue with your process.
Yeah, same answer here. And also, in continuing your process, I know a lot of people say this, detaching from the outcome. This is really what you have to do. Like, if someone rejects you, you can't be like, oh man, this person hates me. Those people have no idea who you are. And also as well, don't take it the other way, where if they hang up on you, like they're gonna come after you. Like no one's flying into your apartment or house and being like, hey, that cold call opener sucked. Like no one's doing this. So just, you got to think about it that way too. Like we're going to go to the next person. Brian, I see your comment in there. Call again with a different opener. I promise you they will not remember you. That's the best course of action on that one. All right. So this one is for you here, Charlotte. I think this is a really good question here, which is, if you look back at your career and your development, what is the single most impactful change you've made in your cold calling approach that lifted you up from asking for prospects' time to generating genuine interest in which the prospects want your time?
Yeah, it's a great question because as I've mentioned, and I'm very open with it, I used to hate cold calling. I couldn't think of anything worse to cold call, and I was honestly petrified. I remember I used to make probably about 10,000 cups of tea a day just because I wanted anything to do to get away from the phone. And the thing is that I was really focused on booking a meeting. And I can't remember who it was who told me this, but they were like, the goal of a cold call isn't to book a meeting. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, well, it's just to find out some information. And ever since someone told me that, and ever since I realized that actually not everyone is a good fit for SalesLoft, as an example, like no way, not everyone's a good fit for SalesLoft. And you know what? That's fine. It's not my job to drag people into the sales cycle and shove SalesLoft down their throat. Like it's my job to see if there's a fit. And if there is, great. But if there's not, that's fine as well. I think as soon as I switched that mindset, I stopped going nervously into cold calling, thinking, I really need to book this meeting, to actually, I just need to find one nugget of information. And if they hang up or they don't have time, that's fine. But if I find out that one nugget of information, if they're, I don't know, growing into a certain territory, if they have a certain CRM, if they have a certain amount of reps, if they're using a competitor, that's a successful outcome of a cold call for me personally. So when I switched that mindset, that's what kind of uplifted me and gained my confidence. but it takes practice as well. Like I was an SDR for 4 years, and probably took me like a solid year and a half to get comfortable with cold calling. Honestly, I was petrified. I was like a little shrew.
It's hard.
It's horrible. But
yeah,
now I literally like I cold call people, and I'm not fussed at all, because I'm like, well, if they hang up on me and if they're not interested, then that's fine. Like, it doesn't matter.
It is what it is. Yeah, I used to, when we have like I know in Europe you call them call outs, we have the cold call blitzes. I would always be like, oh yeah, I gotta go to the bathroom, and never come back. Like, I was like, I want nothing to do with these cold calls at all.
Way.
Yeah, like I'm out. Like, see y'all later. But it's interesting, and you probably can test this as well. It's like once you get comfortable with cold calling, like everything else becomes like you don't even think about it anymore. You're just like, yeah, I'll send that email. Yeah, I'll do this call. Yeah, I'll just prospect this person. Like, you just become like unemotional to what you need to be doing, and you just do it. It's just an interesting twist once you just get comfortable in it.
Just takes time and practice. Like, and I think like especially with God, I can't remember his name, the hero who was on second. Anyway,
Ned?
Ned. Thank you.
Ned, right?
Especially his like first week of Ned. Especially his first week of cold calling. Like, just be fine with the fact that you're going to be a bit crap at first. Like, I wish I went into it thinking that, because I had such high expectations for myself to be this incredible cold caller. But as soon as I got rid of that, and I was like, you know what, it's okay if sometimes I'm really bad on the phone, or it's okay if sometimes my demos are really bad. As soon as you push away from that, you just become more natural. But yeah, no one wakes up or joins as an SDR and is incredible at cold calling from day one. You're going to be a bit crap at first, and you need to just make those mistakes to learn. Otherwise, how else are you going to improve?
Exactly. Last quick answer before we get out of here for you, Charlotte. If someone is mean on the phone and they're being aggressive, how do you handle it?
Oh, it's a good question. I don't know. Like, again, like they might have a bad day, and I'll just be like, look, I know this isn't interesting for you right now, but like if someone's really aggressive to me, like, I don't know, I think I would probably hang up on them, because no offense, like I don't deserve to be spoken to like crap. Like, I'm a human as well. But if someone is just a bit like, why are you calling me? Where'd you get my phone number for? I'll just be like, look, it's fine. Like, I appreciate I've probably caught you at a bad time. Hope you have a nice day, and I'm going to let you go because I appreciate you're probably busy. And I just let them cool down. Maybe I'd send them an email in a couple of days and be like, hey, look, I know I caught you at a bad time. This is why I reached out. It's fine if it's not of interest. I've had it before where people have emailed back and been like, I'm really sorry, I just had a really bad day. So again, not taking it personally, but if someone's nasty to me, I'm not taking that. I'm going to hang up the phone.
Yeah,
but
if
like, someone's just, like, no way. But if someone's just being like, where'd you get my number from? I'm just going to be like, look, it's fine. I'm going to let you go. I appreciate you're probably busy. And I'll send over an email in a couple of days once you're maybe a bit less hectic. And I hope you have a nice day.
Yeah, no, I co-sign all of that. I typically pivot people to email, say, hey, sounds like cold calling's not for you. Let's just email. What's the best way to do that, right? I pivot the scenario, but I 100% agree with you there. We're right at time. Thanks, everyone, for your great questions. Charlotte, if people are looking to find you, where can they find you? Follow
me on LinkedIn. I'm sure in the follow-up email with the webinar, you guys can post my LinkedIn URL if people don't already follow me. But yeah, LinkedIn, Charlotte Johnson.
Awesome. Follow her there. Appreciate y'all. Hope you have a great rest of your day across the board, and you use some of these tips and tactics we talked about. And Charlotte, thanks for coming on, and we'll see y'all next month. Someone asked when we do this. We do these monthly. So we'll see you next month, and y'all have a good one.
Speak to you soon. Bye.
Cheers.